Hey, your friendly neighborhood geek here, doing another movie review, this time on a horror classic that maybe not a lot of people may not be aware of. This is The Last Man on Earth, starring legendary horror icon Vincent Price. Yes, I love this movie. I've only seen it once, but what I saw it, I really enjoyed it. This is based off a novel by Richard Matheson, who also, wrote other, I think, sci-fi oriented books. This is based off his book I Am Legend. That name sounds familiar. The book came out in 1954, and this movie came out in 1964. This was also filmed in Rome, which I think is really, really cool. And now looking back, I guess I can kind of see that a little bit. This is also in black and white. So I guess if you don't like black and white movies, you may not, this may not appeal to you. But trust me, it's a good horror movie. But it's yeah, I guess you could say it's kind of sci-fi horror. Um, yeah. So like I said, this is based off a book called I Am Legend. Also, this had two directors. Sorry, I didn't remember their names. I'm sorry. um, for those who maybe grew up in the early or mid 2000s, you'll remember um, Will Smith had a movie called I Am Legend. Well, that movie was a remake of this movie. This movie also had another remake, I think in the 70s or early 80s. No, I think it was the 70s. I'm not sure, which I haven't seen yet because you have to pay for it. um, so the first remake of this movie was with Charlton Heston, the main actor who was in the first Planet of the Apes from 1968, which is also based on a novel. Um, in that movie, I've seen a review for it. That one is good as well. Um, does things a little bit differently. But that one, the one with Charlton Heston is also worth talking about. I might talk about that one when I eventually see it. The one with Will Smith, ironically, kind of scared me when I was younger. Of course, I was like 6, 7, so I didn't fully understand what the story was. Um, and the one with Will Smith, which had two endings. For those who don't know, the Will Smith I Am Legend movie is getting a sequel. They're basing the sequel off the alternate ending, the theatrical ending for Will Smith's I Am Legend movie. He sacrifices himself at the end. The alternate ending, he lives, and the other two supporting characters that are in that movie, he travels with them to us basically like a safe haven, where there are still people who are alive and healthy and all that stuff. Um, so if you want more information about that, you can just Google all that information yourself. Yeah, so my only gripe with the Will Smith one is that the monsters all kind of CGI. I think originally they were going to have them be like people in makeup and stuff. So I don't really think that's aged. The monsters in that movie haven't really aged well. They look super generic. So it's kind of my only, issue with the Will Smith one. Um, so basically, the creatures in this movie are kind of like vampires, like mutant vampires. Um, Basically, Vincent Price is a scientist, and a plague, some type of a virus or infection spreads across the world. K-wording people who aren't K-worded by this virus are turned into like these vampire-like mutant creatures. Um, I think he lost his wife to this virus. He lost his daughter to this virus. Like I said, his friends, his neighbors, family members, and he thinks he's all alone. And every night, um, I think he slowly tries to hunt them down. And at one point, they try to attack him at his home. Of course, he has his home. He has traps set up, and the windows are boarded and all that stuff. So he just kind of lives in isolation. Um, I think yeah, they're affected by light, so they only come out at nighttime. And like I said, every version of every movie is different from this version. So I guess I won't spoil Charlton Heston one, or well, I guess I kind of spoiled. I kind of spoiled how the Will Smith one ends, but I won't get too deep into the differences between each movie since I solely kind of just want to focus on the Vincent Price version. But of course, I wanted to give some background about the other two movies. Um, yeah, so I think he's trying to create a cure in case he meets people, or maybe I can't remember. Maybe at some point he's trying to cure, like yeah, trying to find a cure, or vaccine, because he's immune. He's immune to the virus, so there's something special about him, about himself that prevented him from, being turned to a creature. Um, so I think he tries to test it on a dog that he finds. It doesn't work. It fails sadly. Um, he meets this woman who basically she's like a second evolution of the creatures, I guess. Like we find out that there's a society, kind of a spoiler for this very old movie, a society of people who have kind of evolved from the first state creatures to a more, traditional human being, or maybe, some other um, superhuman abilities. Um, she, she kind of, it's kind of a plot twist with her. I won't spoil, but I think he ends up giving her the vaccine, and I think it works. Um, but the community of people see him as like a monster. Like, the name of the book, I Am Legend. In the book, he becomes a legend. Like this new race of you know creatures or beings see him as the monster. In their eyes, he is a monster, but in his eyes, they were the monsters. Um, so it's like he kind of has to accept, like with evolution, like how there were the dinosaurs, they died out, and there were Neanderthals, and then there was the next step in evolution of Neanderthals and all that stuff, like just nature, just the natural order of things, basically. And that's kind of what happens in the story, in the book, and that's kind of what happens in this movie. Sadly, I can't remember in the book, I think he lives. It doesn't really end well for Vincent Price's character. Basically, the new community of people try to hunt him down because, like I said, they see him as a threat. They see him as a monster, not knowing that he created this vaccine that could, make people the way they originally were. Um, and yeah, it's a very bitter, grim ending, unfortunately. So I won't spoil. I guess you may be able to put two and two together of maybe what happens to Vincent's character, the professor. Um, we see him depressed, and like I say, he's alone. His wife and daughter are gone. Just slowly losing her sanity. We see that on screen with Vincent's performance. Is it's very, I don't know if I would say at times it's kind of hard to watch, but it's very, it's very sad, and you do feel for him, and just how much of a nightmare that situation would be. You're alone by yourself. Your parents, everybody you know is gone. You don't know if there are any other people like yourself left on the planet, and these creatures come out at night trying to get you. That's a terrifying, very, very scary idea. Very, very scary thought. And all you have is yourself. If you're someone who loves solitude, then, like I said, if you love your solitude, which is nothing wrong with that, everybody deserves to have alone time. But just imagine being alone every day, all day, and you have to worry about something trying to get you after a certain time, after a certain hour. um, so I really like that aspect because, like I said, I kind of know what it feels like to be, to be isolated and kind of just be by yourself. And sometimes you don't have the access to be with others. So, um, like I said, I think they captured that very well. That feeling. So again, awesome movie, solid adaptation. I really enjoyed it. I recommend it if you're interested. If you like the Will Smith movie, check this one out. Yeah, peace, you guys. Hey, friendly neighborhood geek here doing another movie review, this time on a kung fu or karate type theme movie. One from my childhood actually, which I really enjoyed, and I just now found out that I don't think this movie did all that well in theaters. Um, this is Forbidden Kingdom or The Forbidden Kingdom. I remember when this movie was advertised. I don't think I saw it in theaters, but my uncle, who was really into like martial arts films. Who's actually knows martial arts, and he grew up being a big Bruce Lee fan. He's into these type of movies, so he introduced this to me, and his son and daughter being my cousins when we were younger. It's directed by Mark Arakoff. I know probably. I know, Matkoff. I probably said his name incorrectly. I apologize, but um, this came out April 18th, I think. I know it came out in April 2008. Wow, I didn't realize it was 2008. Um, that's really cool. This stars Jet Li and Jackie Chan. I'm not sure how many other movies they've done together, but in my opinion, I thought they did really well in this movie. In my eyes, they're like two modern, martial art masters. Like they're like the modern versions of like Bruce Lee or whatever. So I thought they did really good in this movie. But they are actually, I mean, they are two of the main characters, but they're actually the supporting character to our main character. Our main character is played Michael Agrano. I'm not sure how to say his last name. The actor who played Will or Wilt in Sky High, which is a beloved classic Disney movie about high schoolers who are going to high school to learn how to be superheroes or whatever. Really fun movie. I might talk about that one. I kind of see that as like mainstream, so I don't know if I'll really talk about Sky High, but maybe down the road I might talk about that one. And I got the director's name all wrong. It was Rob Minkoff, or whatever. Uh, so okay, so let's get to the story. What is this about? So basically, I don't know, kind of a spoiler, but you see it in the beginning of the movie. We have the Monkey King, which, if anyone's familiar with Chinese mythology or Chinese lore or the story Journey to the West, the Monkey King inspired the creation of Goku from Dragon Ball and a whole bunch of other characters in fiction, but specifically Goku and a handful of other characters from the Dragon Ball um, manga and anime series. So we have the Monkey King. The Monkey King is pure of heart, but he's mischievous, and since he's so powerful, he can kind of like get away with doing a lot of stuff. We have the Jade Emperor, who does not like the Monkey King, hates his guts, wants him K-worded basically. So I think he challenges the Monkey King to a duel or something. The Monkey King accepts, but he ends up like not tricking. I'm not sure, not tricking the Monkey King, but he ends up doing something that catches the Monkey King off guard, and I think he ends up in prison because they were like equally matched. I think he ends up like imprisoning him, but the Monkey King took one of his hairs and somehow, with the power of magic, made it sentient and sent the hair off to find someone who could free him one day, someone who was worthy of his staff and his I guess his abilities, and that could free him one day. Um, the hair, well, I guess I won't spoil who the hair ends up manifesting into. You'll just have to wait and see when you watch the movie. Um, so after we get that flashback scene, then we cut back to, I guess, the modern time where we have Michael's character, he's kind of like a Peter Parker sort of. He's kind of a nerd. He likes action. He likes kung fu action movies. He's just kind of an introvert. Um, and there's I guess he has these bullies who are a-holes who are always hassling him and making fun of him. He has this video store in Chinatown um, that he really likes going to, that's owned by Jackie Chan's character, who's a very, very old man. Um, he looks like he's over like close to 100 years old. Um, hmm, that kind of play that kind of that little detail kind of comes plays back around, comes back towards towards the end of the movie. Um, so him and Jackie Chan's character have a good a friendship. Um, and like I said, he's always welcome to the store. Like I said, he's always buying or renting stuff from the store or whatever. There's like an antique store slash video store. So then one day, the bullies, because they're a holes, they want to rob the old man. They want to rob Jackie Chan's, excuse me, rob his business, and because um, Michael's character is good friends with him, they're like going to use him to get in there. So of course, uh, the head bully, who's the main bully, shoots Jackie Chan a couple times. Sounds so wrong. And I think Will, not Will, Michael's character. I forgot his character's name. Michael's character, is like, oh my god, like what have I done? Like I'm so sorry. This wasn't. You weren't supposed to. Like you weren't supposed to hurt him. Just take the money and go. And I guess they don't want any witnesses. And since Michael wasn't really on board with what they were doing, they chase after him, and the bully, tries to shoot at him, and I guess he happened to, I think maybe Jackie's character gives him the Monkey King staff, but of course Michael doesn't know that it's the Monkey King staff. I think he's like, hold on to this, or whatever, keep this for me or something. So when they're chasing him on a rooftop, and when the bully starts to fire at him, it's like the staff, the Monkey King staff, like has a mind of its own, and it basically transports him back to that feudal Japan period. So then he meets Jackie again, of course, as a young person, or well, older man, but not as old as he was in the present. And eventually they come across Jet Li's character and a female love interest who I think is trying to get revenge on the Jade Emperor for K-wording her family or something. And then we kind of go on this, journey of, let's stop the Jade Emperor's evil plans, save the Monkey King. Michael's character, so Jet Li and Jackie Chan are trying to teach Michael proper martial arts, how to defend himself. Of course, they have different fighting styles, so they kind of have different views on how he should be trained. Excuse me. We get we get an epic final battle. And eventually, I guess kind of a spoiler, eventually Monkey King is freed. Some other little details get revealed that I won't spoil. And then Michael gets transported back to that point, where he was on top of the building, or maybe he gets transported back to that, to that moment in time that he was taken back to the past. Of course, the bullies catch up with him, try to hassle him, but of course now he knows how to defend himself. He knows martial arts, so kicks the bully's ass. Kicks his ass, which was very, yeah, that was fun to see. Jackie Chan's character in the present ends up being okay. The paramedics get to him on time and whatever. And his love interest from the past, I'm not sure if she was like resurrected in the present, but she's in the present, as like a regular person. And from that point on, I think he just, continued to train. Like he still had the Monkey King staff in the present. So he just continued to, train and all that stuff. So again, it's just a fun, fictional, adventure movie that takes place, I guess, feudal Japan. And I think it's a shame it didn't do well. If you've never seen it, I recommend it. It's a lot of fun. The cast did a good job. Fight scenes were good. Yeah, go give Forbidden Kingdom a watch. Peace, you guys. Hey, friendly neighborhood geek here, doing another movie review from the 90s, the late 90s. Spawn. I can't believe I haven't talked about this movie yet. Like, this would have been perfect to have done the last two Halloweens that I've made TikTok videos. Um, yes, Spawn. I love this movie. Um, for those who don't know, Spawn is a very popular character from the 90s. He originated in the 90s, created by Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane is at this point, uh, I don't know. I would say he's a very well known person in the comic book world. He has his own toy company called McFarlane Toys, which is still thriving and makes figures with all different types of properties. Um, I think he started out doing comics for, I believe, Marvel. I know he did comics for. He worked on Spider-Man, and his interpretation of Spider-Man, or at least the way he drew Spider-Man, was very iconic and very unique, very cool uh, art style. Um, he was the person who created Venom. Actually, he created the Venom character, not the actual alien costume, the symbiote, the whole concept of the symbiote. No, that was created by other writers in the Secret War storyline. And the actual black suit was created by a fan of all things. That's a whole other story for another time if I ever get around talking about a Venom project or something. I probably won't talk about the Venom movies. So yeah, but yes, he created the Venom character, and some of those details you can see in Spawn's design or whatever. But again, Todd McFarlane, really successful, really um, creative individual. I was a big fan of his when I was younger. I'm still a fan of his. Still like what the content he has created in his career. Um, so yes, this stars Michael Jai White as Spawn slash Al Simmons. If you don't know who that is, I'm sorry. I would say at this point, he's a veteran black actor. He's done voice work. He knows a lot of martial arts in real life, so he can fight for real. He's been a lot of stuff, honestly. I'm curious. Sorry, I didn't put my phone on vibrate. If you're curious, just Google him. John Leguizamo's in this as the bad guy who played Luigi in the '90s Mario Brothers movie and played Sid in the Ice Age movies. Um, Martin Sheen, the father of Charlie Sheen from Two and a Half Men. Um, I'm sure a handful of other actors and actresses, but the three of them are the ones I remember the most. And Todd McFarlane cameos in this movie, actually. It was kind of blink and you miss it shot, but it's really cool. I like when the creators cameo in the movies based off their characters, like what Stan Lee used to do. This was directed by Mark A.Z. DePay. Okay, I'm not familiar with that director, but cool, interesting name. One other little piece of trivia, get out of the way. There has been talks of a sequel with Jamie Foxx. I think that would be cool. There is a fan film as well that was made a couple years ago. I think I'll talk about that as well, because the fan film is really entertaining and creative. So apparently the release date for the sequel is in 2025. Oh man, that's a whole nother year from now. We'll see. Hopefully, if it comes out, hopefully it'll be good. So basically, I think I said this came out August 1st of 97, which is really neat. So okay, so to the story. Basically, what is Spawn about? Well, Michael Jai White's character, Al Simmons, is like a tactical, basically he's like a government agent, supposedly. But a lot of his missions he was sent to do a lot of bad things, kind of like with X-Men Origins Wolverine. For anyone who's seen that, how Wolverine and his team were sent on missions that morally Wolverine has kind of felt like, I don't really think this is right. I don't really think this is something I want to do anymore, be a part of. Well, Al kind of had that same kind of those same kind of feelings towards the end of his, I guess, his military career or government career, whatever you want to call it. So Martin Sheen plays Jason Wynn. Jason Wynn is Al's boss. Um, and I think him and I forgot the female agent. The three of them went on a mission together, and it ended up being a thing like a setup. And they ended up K-wording Al in the process. Of course, all the bad things that he had done in his life. He was sent to the underworld, HE double hockey sticks, where he came in contact with Malbolgia, who was one of the dark gods of the 8 circles of hell, basically. So it's not, so technically, yes, technically the devil exists in this universe, or I'm assuming in this movie, but we don't see him. Malbolgia is basically Spawn's master to a degree. So he is the big bad of this movie. And he wants Al to lead his hell army or demonic army or whatever, because at some point hell and heaven are going to have some big battle, big war. And Al's like, if you allow me to see my wife Wanda again, I will lead your army. So of course Malbolgia, they make the deal. Of course, Malbolgia being evil and being a demon, he allowed Al to go back to Earth, but it was like several years in the future now. So Wanda married Al's best friend Terry, and they had a daughter named Cyan. Another piece of trivia for you. Wanda and Cyan are actually Todd McFarlane's daughter and wife, and those names are the actual names of his daughter and wife in real life. So I always thought that was kind of cute how he made the characters. You know, he took the names from his family for those characters. So of course, so at that point, of course, Al is up. He's angry and kind of confused and like, "Damn you!" kind of. And then he eventually meets a clown played by John Leguizamo, who is a demon in disguise, called the Violator, who his job is to make sure Al achieves his purpose or make sure the plans go through or whatever. He eventually becomes Spawn, like he gets a suit and all the other cool stuff. And he's basically trying to get revenge on Jason Wynn. And eventually other plans are revealed, like Jason Wynn is also working along with Clown or Violator to have some type of bomb go off or something, and destroy a city or destroy the city. So we kind of have several situations going on where Spawn ultimately ends up stopping. He gets in contact with another. He comes in contact with a previous Hellspawn named Cagliostro, who is trying to teach him how to use his powers and try to get him on the path of good and like basically use your powers for good. You fight for the greater good. Don't embrace, the evil or whatever. So we kind of get like a small training montage. We do get like 3 fights maybe against the Violator, which is really cool. The Violator, the CGI looks decent for 97. It looks okay. But when they actually show like the practical effects, like the actual puppet, that looks awesome. Of course, there were toys for this movie. I would love to have the Violator as a toy. I do have the comic version, but I don't have the movie version. We get a final battle in hell, which looks really not that good. And I mean, yeah, with the help of Cagliostro, Spawn saves the day and he saves the world. He saves Wanda and Terry and Cyan and all that good stuff. And yeah, like I said, he saves the day and temporarily stops Malbolgia and his evil plans. And then the movie kind of ends. It ends with him on top of like a building looking badass, which is in the comics and the animated series. Yes, there was an animated series in the 90s. It's really good. Definitely check that out. Definitely give this movie Hey, friendly neighborhood geek here, doing another movie review. Another one that could have been done around Halloween time, but I think I saw this earlier this month, actually. I think, yeah. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie. Yes, from this came out July of '92, I believe. This was directed by Fran something something. I can't remember how to pronounce the rest of her name. Sorry, I'm not sure if Fran is a man or Fran is a lady. Either or, still cool. The original concept of Buffy was created by Joss Whedon, who actually, Josh, to my knowledge, he didn't really like the way the movie played out, and that inspired him to create the TV show with Sarah Michelle Gellar, aka Daphne from the live action Scooby Doo movies. Um, Inspired him to make the show because with the show, it would have been closer to his original vision. I've seen a little bit of the show, and what I've seen, I've liked. I know it's long though. I know it's a lot of seasons, but I would like to maybe binge watch it at some point since that was a little before my time. Um, I know there also really quick there was plans for an animated series, maybe done in the style of like the Justice League cartoon or Batman the animated series. That would have been insane. It's not a pilot, it's more of like a proof of concept. Like there's a video of like how the characters would look in animation, like a short animation of what what it could have been to just give I guess the producers like an idea of, oh, this is how the Buffy cartoon will look or play out or whatever, which is really cool. I think that would have worked. I think that would have done really well. It's unfortunate we didn't get that animated series. Um, so like I said, this July 31st of 1992. Cool. This stars Christy Swanson as Buffy. Neat. She did do a good job in this movie, in my opinion. Donald Sutherland, who plays her mentor. I believe he was in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original, and he was in Animal House. I haven't seen Body Snatchers, but I have seen Animal House, and that was a really fun movie. Paul Rubens, aka Pee Wee Herman, who sadly passed away last year. Um, Rutger Hauer. I think I'm familiar with him, but I can't name a specific movie off the top of my head that he's in. And Luke Perry, who's right behind Christy, who also sadly passed away a couple of years ago. I think a little unexpectedly. That's unfortunate. Two well-known actors who were in this movie are deceased, so that's really unfortunate. Donald Sutherland is the father of Keith Sutherland, who played in The Lost Boys as one of the vampires. Cool. That's neat. Both father and son have been in vampire-oriented movies. That's really cool. Yes, so what is this about, basically? Well, we follow Buffy, who is just kind of your traditional uh, high school girl. She's a cheerleader. She has her friends. They're kind of mean girls. They're kind of mean girls. Like they just, I don't know, like that mindset of, well, you're a teenager, you're popular, you're not really maybe you're not really thinking too much of the future. You're just kind of living in the moment. And that is your world. Like your whole world is school, your friends, maybe a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and like that's it. You just that's your world. So you don't really think much outside of what your routine and what you're used to. So eventually she meets Donald Sutherland's character, who of course I think his character's name is Merrick, who's like telling her like, well, you're a slayer. You come from a generation of girls from different time periods, different races, who have had to take up the title of Slayer and defeat monsters or vampires. I think just specifically vampires or whatever. Our main villain, who I think is played by Rutger Hauer, is the main vampire villain in this movie. Paul Rubens plays one of his minions. So she has to be trained to again fight the villain and fight off this vampire um, these vampire villains or whatever. So I can't remember I think they plotted to just take over the city. I'm not sure what their I can't remember what their end goal was, honestly. Um, and of course, Luke Perry's character is like like I think he's a high school graduate, so he's a little bit older than Buffy. And her and her friends meet him and his friend in like a young adult hangouts place or whatever. His friend would later get turned into a vampire. um, and of course, when he sees it for his own eyes, what's going on, he decides to kind of help her and also kind of encourage her to continue to, fight. And, like, this is kind of your responsibility now. You can't just pretend, you can't just pretend that what's happening isn't happening. You're going to have to do something about it at some point. So he kind of encourages her to continue to fight on. And they end up working together and, kind of sparking feelings for each other. Um, like I said, it's good. Everybody, in my opinion, did a good job. It's kind of a horror comedy, so I think the tone is a little bit different from the show. I know the show has kind of comedic moments, but it's more serious and has a more darker atmosphere. I believe this movie is a prequel to the show. So this version of Buffy, even though she's played by a totally different actress, I think is the same version we see in the show. So I'm not sure if Donald Sutherland's character is in the show or not. I won't spoil why I say that, but when you watch it, or if you've seen it, then you know what I'm referring to. Um, like I said, I mean, it's not a lot to say. I mean, it's good. I think it's kind of a bummer that we didn't see Josh Whedon's um, original vision. I mean, we got that with the show, but I'm just kind of curious, like if you take the tone of the show and put it in the format of a movie, like what could this have looked like if it was made the way he wanted it to be made? Um, there are a few video games, but they're based off the show, of course. One for the Game Boy, which I've played a little bit of. It's okay. One I think for Xbox and PlayStation. So in total, I think there's like three Buffy games. I'm not sure, which again, really cool. Buffy got video games, and they still, relatively hold up. Of course, there's collectibles, there's action figures, and cool stuff like that. I don't think this movie got any merchandise, maybe outside of like apparel. Maybe I don't entirely know, but I think that would be cool if we got it like an action figure of Christy Swanson's Buffy. Um, or even like a Amigo doll. Um, some of you all probably don't know what that is, but it was a company that used to make dolls, like doll type action figures of like Marvel, DC, Universal Monsters, other popular properties during that period. Um, like I said, it's like it's not much to say. I think Christy did a great job. She definitely had a look for it. She looked like a traditional blonde-haired teenage girl, and she captured that perfectly, in my opinion. Um, like I said, Luke Perry, sad he passed away. He did a good job. Apparently, during this time, he was like a heartthrob, so young adult teen heartthrob, whatever. He was on 91210, which is really cool. Never seen it. Um, so like I said, he was popular during this time. Um, hmm. Yeah, like I said, everybody did a good job. It's just a fun movie. Like, if you were to watch like Lost Boys, The Craft, Hocus Pocus, um, like all those kind of, I guess, more young adultish horror movies, Fright Night, but Fright Night's a little bit more traditional horror. Like you just kind of have like a vampire, like the young adult horror marathon, which is like it's not too scary, not too inappropriate, not really inappropriate. That's a fun watch. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and I think it is an introduction. You could watch this, and it would get you into the show. Yeah, give it a watch. Hey, friendly neighborhood geek here, doing another. I guess I can consider this a belated Halloween esque review. The Craft. I love The Craft. I love this movie. I can't believe I don't think I've talked about it. If I have, maybe I don't think the review was all that good. I don't think I've talked about this one. It's like this is always on my mind when I'm thinking of movies to talk about, but there's a reason why, spoiler, there's a reason why y'all can't really see it that well. There's a reason why I write stuff down. I write down my topics so I don't forget them. So when I think about it, I forget to write about it, and then I move on to something else. So, yes, I love this movie. It's really good. In my opinion, it still holds up. If I was a girl, I think I would like this twice as much. Um, it did get a sequel in 2020 called The Craft Legacy. Uh, I don't think it did all that well, honestly. Um, the one cool thing I think it did add a LGBTQ character to like the circle of witches or whatever, and I did think that was really neat. I like that idea. Trying to make it diverse and modern. But outside of that, I don't think it did that well. I'll probably try to watch it one day. You know, because like I said, I don't want to bash something I haven't seen for myself. But yeah, there's a sequel if you're interested in checking that out. This was directed by Andrew Fleming. This stars for Z. I honestly don't know how to say her first name. I'm gonna just call her Miss Bulk. That's her last name. Who plays Nancy? Nevi, who plays that character. Forgot her last name. But I think she's well known for being in the Scream movies. Rachel, who plays our main character, and lastly, my sister right here. No, I got it wrong. Her name is Rachel. Her name is Robin. So Robin plays our main character. Um, and Rachel is well known in the I say the black community. She had her own sitcom at one point called Sister Sister with I forgot the actress's name, but it was a fun show about two halves. Not oh crap, I'm getting it all wrong. Sister Sister was with Tia and Tamara. Um, she was on. Rachel was on Half and Half, which was about two half sisters. My mind is I got it mixed up, but Sister Sister is a good show, and Half and Half is a very good show as well. Um, anyway, just trying to give us a little bit of backstory about our main girls here, but all of them did a great job. They were all talented. They did good with what they were given. Everyone did a good job in this movie, in my opinion. So what is this about? Basically, we follow Robin's character who just moved to California or Los Angeles. Lucky, I'm jealous, to go to school. Her mom, I'm not sure if her mom had recently passed or her mom had been deceased for some years. So it was just her and her dad. They live in a really nice, they moved into a nice house. And she's different. She's always been different. She's always been weird. She's always kind of had these abilities that she didn't understand, and she meets the other three girls who are a trio. And they kind of can see that and they kind of take an interest in her and they kind of invite her into their circle of friends. And, the three of them practice witchcraft. So of course they, like I said, they introduce her to what they're doing, and she eventually becomes friends with them and becomes the fourth person of their circle. Because I guess to fully develop your powers or something, you have to have at least four people in your coven or something like that. Um, so they all kind of deal with uh, bullying to some degree, and they all kind of deal with their bullies once they gain their abilities in different ways, which I won't spoil. Rachel's character is the only black person at the school. So kind of getting the everybody hates Chris type of situation. um, so that was a very kind of key strong part to her character, like the way she carried herself and how she kind of dealt with being the only person of color in that school. And she was kind of, kind of picked on a little bit. And like I said, she ends up using her powers to deal with her bully. Um, so again, I felt like this movie, it it captured, I guess, elements or situations that girls or anybody really in that during that period at that age could kind of deal with, like social anxiety, I guess, yeah, racism, which I guess anyone could deal with at any age. Um, just feeling, different, and because you're different from everybody else, you're treated a certain way, which may not be as nice. Like I said, those are things that teenagers, young people deal with, in my opinion. I've dealt with some of that to a degree when I was in school, and like I said, I feel like that movie kind of captured that well, and I think also captured sisterhood and a lot of other elements I may not be suitable to talk about because I'm not a girl. Um, so like I said, so invite her into the group. They all start practicing magic. Um, a lot of stuff happens that I won't spoil. Nancy, played by Miss Bulk's character, or yeah, played by Miss Bulk, she starts kind of using her powers for bad, not for, yeah, she starts abusing her abilities because of her living situation is kind of crap compared to the other girls, and that kind of made her kind of lash out a little bit. Um, she ends up K-wording a couple of people. Um, and of course, that doesn't sit well with Robin. So, like I said, all the girls kind of use their powers, start abusing their powers, except for Robin. She doesn't really hurt anybody um, when using her magic. So she doesn't want to be a part of the coven anymore. She's like, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't like this anymore. I want to leave. I don't want to be in the coven anymore. Of course, the rest of the girls, Nancy's like the ringleader. Um, don't don't sit well with that. And Nancy's like, well, in the past, when a witch would leave her coven, she would get K-worded, for doing that or something like that. Uh, so they kind of torment her. She can't catch a break. I mean, like she can't really go to anyone for help. She does. She does and she doesn't. She does go to someone for help, someone who practices magic as well. Um, I won't spoil that part because that is a pretty key and cool element in the movie. But she is able to go to someone for help, but ultimately she's the one who has to stop them herself. And we find out that Robin's character um, is a natural, kind of a spoiler for this 20-year-old movie. She is a natural born witch. Also, I think I said this movie came out in '96, I believe. Okay, yeah, May 3rd, 1996. I always want to make sure I put in, I say what day the movie came out or whatever. Um, so yeah, we find out that she is a natural witch. All the other girls, practice, magic. But she was born with her abilities, so that makes her, of course, twice as strong. Um, the girls confront her at her house. Of course, her dad wasn't home for whatever reason. Of course, he wasn't. She basically scares Rachel and Nevy. Um, she scares the two of them. They get a clue. They get out of there. They're like, "You're on your own, Nancy. We're done. We're out. Bye." So Nancy tries to fight Robin and tries to K-word her. Um, I can't remember, they had to pray to a god, some type of god who gave the other girls their abilities. So Robin, I guess, kind of had the ability to take her powers away or something. So she stops Nancy. The day is saved for the most part. Um, Nancy ends up in a mental institution. Pretty dark ending, but for her. But she killed two people or whatever. Um, Yeah, and Robin, she's cool. Hey, friendly neighborhood geek here, doing another fan film oriented video review. This time on Blue Core Studios' Sonic, or Sonic the Hedgehog, which came out, I believe, January 9th of 2013. This studio also made a Mega Man fan film. I am a casual Mega Man fan. I am a big fan of that character. So I probably will talk about that one too, because I don't think I've ever seen that one. So I'm curious to know how well it holds up. Um, this was directed and written Eddie LeBron. Okay, cool. Uncredited writers, which I find this to be interesting, is Yuji Naka and Nintendo Oshima. I know Yuji Naka is, I believe, the creator of Sonic, or one of the creators of Sonic. And the other person, Oshima, Nato Oshima, I'm not sure. I'm assuming he also helped create Sonic, but it says they're uncredited writers. So if they really were writers for this, I think that's extremely cool. You got two of the original people who created the character to be a part of this project. Um, yeah, it's okay. I like it. It's 18 minutes long, so you can watch it in like half an hour. Um, my only gripe, and I know it's they had a limited budget, was there we didn't see any other characters that looked like Sonic. Like we didn't see Tails, we didn't see Knuckles. Um, and the Sonic universe, or at least in the comics, him and all the other characters live on Mobius, which is the fictional world that Sonic lives in. Um, on in this fan film, everybody on Mobius just look like normal people. We do get, I think, three YouTube cameos. Doug Walker, who is Nostalgia Critic, is in this. Angry Video Game Nerd, he's in this too, and another YouTube content creator. I wasn't familiar with him, so that's pretty cool. They had cameos in this movie. Like I said, another thing I do like that Sonic is voiced by Jaleel White. Jaleel White being Steve Urkel from Family Matters, and he voiced Sonic in the Sadie M cartoon, I believe Sonic Underground, and Sonic, the other Sonic cartoon with him and Tails. I forgot the name of that one. Um, which is really cool that they got Jaleel back. Maybe he really needed, maybe he really needed a check. I don't, I don't know, but I think that's cool. He did decent. I mean, it's fine. My Shadow fan film, of course, that is like 10 plus years later with modern, technology and modern hardware. Of course, the Shadow film fan film looks 10 times as better as this, but this was 2013. The robot design, like the enemies, the minions, those were really well animated and looked really nice. The actor who played Dr. Eggman, he did good. You know, like I said, for the most part, the cast did fine. I mean, it's not a bad movie. Like I said, if I had the opportunity to be a part of this, I would have been proud. Like I would have been like, yeah, I remember making that Sonic fan film all those years ago. Like I would see this as something to be proud of. I just think it's cool that a team, you know, had the inspiration to make a Sonic fan film. Like I said, you see the Sonic model behind me. He does look a little uncanny, a little bit. I mean, it's not. It doesn't bother me. Of course, I like the new movies. I like that design a lot more. But it's okay. It's fine. I'll say that it's original. I mean, you see this and it stands out. It's different. So I'll give them that. It's an original look for Sonic. You know. Like I said, it's fine. Sonic shows up. I mean, Dr. Eggman tries to take over the city or whatever. Sonic shows up, saves the day, fights the robots, defeats Eggman. Like I said, it just sucks. Like no other characters appear. No Tails, no Knuckles, especially Tails. Like if anything, Tails is his best friend. But so uh, yeah. I mean, it's fine. I don't remember specifically if they like use any tracks from the games. I don't remember much of the soundtrack. But like I said, it's cool. Like I said, we this was made back then. We don't know. This could have maybe inspired, the writers for the first Sonic movie, to a degree. You never know. Um, I think it's unfortunate though. Blue Core doesn't seem that they make content anymore. Their last upload was like 10 years ago, I think. So I don't think they're active anymore, which is unfortunate. I would like to have seen them maybe try to recreate some other gaming properties or something. But like I said, I'll definitely check out the Mega Man if I think it's worth talking about. I'll do a review on it. Um, yeah, like, comment, follow, share. Stay tuned for more content. Peace, you guys.